I thought, why can't I do this? And I believe that I can. And all it took was consistency and discipline. That's really it, because I didn't come into NCAA as a favorite. Nobody was talking about me.
Welcome back to the Why Not Me podcast. This week's guest is someone who I kind of think might be a superhero. I'm just not sure, but I think she is. Her name is Gabby Thomas. You guys know her as a 3-time gold medal champion in the Olympics. She's also like brilliant. She went to Harvard and University of Texas and has all these really smart people degrees. So I'm excited to talk to her about her life as an athlete, her life as an academic, and everything in between. Gabby Thomas is the guest on the Why Not Me podcast, coming up next with me, your host, Mike Jackson. Let's go. Gabby, which do we prefer?
Well, I go by Gabby, but I do love the name Gabrielle. But you can call me Gabby.
Gabrielle's such a pretty name. It's a strong name, but I'm going to go with Gabby as well, because that's what the world knows you as. Yes. Gabby Thomas. Well, thank you for doing the Why Not Me podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get into it. December 7th?
Yes.
1996?
Yes.
God,
yes.
I feel so old. Atlanta, Georgia?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, that's so tell me, when you came upon life and Earth, what was the family dynamic? You have a twin?
I do, yeah. I have a twin
older?
Brother. Unfortunately, he's older.
He's the older sibling?
Yeah, he's twin A. I'm twin B.
What's his name?
Andrew.
And then mom and dad?
Yes.
So tell me about life in Atlanta. I'm not expecting you to remember, 0 months to 3 months, but just, because I think you're there for the first decade of your life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just tell me about Atlanta, the family dynamic. What did mom and dad do for work? Just the general idea.
So I'll set the scene for you. So my parents met at Duke. My dad was a football player there, also did a little bit of track.
Okay.
And my mom was just graduating.
Okay.
And so they were kind of figuring themselves out a little bit, still a little bit young.
All right.
And so when I was born in Atlanta, we were kind of staying with family members at that point in our life.
Okay.
Just figuring things out a little bit.
So both your parents from Atlanta?
No, so my dad grew up in Florida.
Okay.
And my mom grew up in Mobile, Alabama.
Woo!
But we have a lot of family in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, a lot of people converge from the South and that's
essentially, a lot of people converging. And you know how it goes. I mean, it takes a village.
Absolutely.
So Atlanta was where we needed to be at that time. We were staying with aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, all of that.
And your parents are right out of Duke at this point?
My mom was right out of Duke.
Oh, yeah,
my dad was still there.
And they got pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
That was in college.
So it was, you're pregnant. Oh, and it's twins. Surprise.
So wait. So your dad's playing ball at
playing
Duke.
Football.
He's a student, and mom is in Atlanta pregnant.
So mom was a senior pregnant. I believe, I have to go back and do the math, but I think by the time we were born, she had graduated.
So she was actually pregnant in school her senior year.
Finishing undergrad at Duke.
Okay, got it.
And my dad was a sophomore. So kind of a lot to take in as a collegiate athlete. I remember my collegiate athlete days, and I don't know.
It's hard enough.
It's hard enough, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he was at football practice every day. I mean, kind of just thinking about this. So we were born. So I believe when we were born, my dad was actually at football practice in Duke in North Carolina. And my mom was in Atlanta. And we were staying with family members. And so the early
it's like time out.
The early childhood is, just surrounded by that, right? The community of family, our village and just having that. And I mean, we're so grateful for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Atlanta, my mom was waitressing. She got a job at a daycare, just figuring it out, making ends meet.
Just crazy, by the way. Duke graduate.
I know.
No shame on the gig, but a Duke graduate, probably crazy major, crazy goals. I'm sure she achieved, but in that moment.
And my mom is a rock star. In that moment, it is hard, but my mom grew up dirt poor in Mobile, Alabama. I mean.
Jennifer.
Mm-hmm. 8 siblings, maybe 9. They didn't have much, struggled to keep the lights on, right? There was a lot going on. So for her to go get a scholarship at Duke was already incredible in itself.
Sure.
Hit with a little bit of a hardship. Not that my brother and I are hardship, but, twins.
A hurdle in life's journey.
A hurdle in life's journey.
Yeah.
I love that.
There you go.
And just kind of working her way out of this. And this is something I talk about a lot about my own journey, is watching my mom go from waitressing, working at a daycare, going back to school. She continued school at Emory and got her PhD in education. And my brother and I were a part of that. We watched all of it. Mm-hmm. were there in her evening classes when she couldn't find a babysitter and we had to sit in class with her. We watched her, work and do school and also take care of us and drive us to soccer practices and basketball practices and not complain about it, right? It was kind of like, this was the normal. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to grind it out because this is my dream and I want better for myself and I want better for you all. And that was my normal. So as I navigated my own life and I'm thinking about what I want to do and how I want to contribute to society, there's never been a question of, oh, am I going to hustle to get there? Am I going to grind? That was my normal because that's what I saw growing up. I saw a single mom doing that with twins.
I love that. My wife, for the early part of her years, was her and her mom as well. And it's even just like watching the bond, single mom, technically single mom, like alone, figuring out. It's like, it's a different kind of connection you have with your children.
Yes.
And I do think your kids really, environment is everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think kids really pick up on that. So God bless Jennifer.
I know, God bless Jennifer.
For being a hustler and a warrior.
My mom is a hustler.
So your dad's playing ball for the first 2 years of your life.
Yes.
And mom's grinding. What was it like for him? Like, did you ever talk to him about like, how'd you deal? Like, how'd you focus on ball in school when you had 2 kids at home?
I've asked him about that. And, I don't know if he's trying to be nice, but he downplays it. I mean, I asked him, were you stressed? Like, what was going on? Were you freaking out at practice? And he's like, well, no. And I think, he's coming from a viewpoint of you make it work. So you're, like you said, you're kind of dealt with the hurdle in life's journey, whatever that may be.
You can tweak that, by the way.
I really do like that. And it's just so perfect for my career. And, and he said, you make it work and you go with it and you go with the flow. And so my dad ended up moving to Atlanta. He didn't end up finishing at Duke. I think it just priorities at that point. And he moved to Atlanta to, be a part of our lives.
Did he finish school there? Or?
No.
He just left school and went right into the family.
So he was DJing in college and he continued with that. So now he owns his own DJ business and that's what he does. He's still a DJ.
Does he actually do like
turntables and everything.
He goes to the parties and private events?
He does. Yeah, private events, high schools, weddings, everything. He does it all. But one of the fondest memories of my childhood is going in the basement and playing with the turntables.
I love you, Atlanta folks. Another guy who's on our show, a good friend of mine, his name is Diallo Riddle. He's an Atlanta guy. He's now become like a super successful creator of content. Like he creates TV shows and he acts. But he was a DJ coming up. Went to Harvard.
Okay.
And still, despite all his success, you can always pull up to a club and just see him on the turntables.
I love it. And it was such a big part of our life, just going home, playing music, having fun.
Is music still a big part of your life?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get to that later.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I get a glimpse now of what Atlanta was like in those formative years. And then around 2007, I believe, you guys moved to Massachusetts.
Yes.
I mean, going from Wakanda, was it Wakanda then?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know, yeah. We're good up there. We're good down there.
Yeah.
So I imagine going from there, Atlanta, our Mecca, to Massachusetts.
Culture shock.
Black folk.
Culture shock.
Yeah, tell me about...
Not just Massachusetts. We moved to Western Massachusetts.
I don't even know. It's all the same to me, but if you're telling me it's different, even more crazy in Western Mass, like I believe you. What's it? Is it like, do you end up in like a predominantly white neighborhood?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So my mom finished her PhD and got a job at the University of Massachusetts, which is in Amherst, Massachusetts. And so we moved up there and culture shock is, to say the least, right? Western Mass is predominantly white. Very, very liberal town. But it's a small town and a small college area. Very, very liberal. So I will say that it's liberal, incredibly so. That helps. It does help. So, even that was a bit of a culture shock in itself. Just even Atlanta during that time. We weren't having these conversations the way we are now this year.
You could feel
just about progressive values and whatnot. But
so your white experience in Atlanta was probably more a conservative white base. Which is how you probably perceived most white people, because that's all you saw.
Yes.
Now you're going to Massachusetts, New England, where I would think, at least as a parent, like, oh man, this is going to be some.
Well, it's interesting about
shit.
My experience in Atlanta was, our neighborhood was very Black. Just a lot of Black people. The first couple of years, very diverse school, a lot of Black people. We ended up going to private school for the last 2 years of Atlanta. Very, very white conservative, absolutely. Then we moved to Massachusetts, where, we were probably the only Black family.
I know that game.
Right? Yeah, like maybe one other Black family, but everyone knows you as a Black family in that area. And it was very, very liberal. So it was definitely a different demographic of white people than I was used to being exposed
Thankfully,
to.
it was liberal. I remember, I think I might have told this in another interview, but when we were the second Black family in our neighborhood. The first Black family, all of the neighbors pulled their money together to outbid them on the house they were trying to buy. The owner of the home was so offended, he was basically like, fuck you guys, and still sold it to the Black family, the Moses family. 10 years later, here come the Jacksons. And they didn't try to buy our house. Instead, they threw us a party, welcome to the neighborhood, because they love the Moses so much. But why are these Black folks here? What do you do? What do you do? This, that, and the other thing. And and the story was my dad at the end did the fork to the glass.
Oh, yeah.
Thank people and make a toast. And he goes, and just to answer everyone's question at once. And I'm probably like 5 or 6 years old. He's like, I'm a pimp and this is my hoe.
Is that what you were looking for?
Silence. Are we good? And obviously he was like, just kidding. But like, it's a weird dynamic being the one.
It is.
You know?
It definitely is. Gosh, and I could probably even still go to therapy about how that has affected me up into this day.
It's
but
a crazy
I mean,
thing.
Yeah, the interactions are just absolutely wild.
I think about that now, even, you know, I'm raising, my wife is white and I have 3 biracial kids and we're in Texas. You know, and Austin is progressive and weird and great, but it's a blue dot in a big red state. So I often think about race and how it affects adolescence and how it affects your journey in growing up. So,
I mean, the microaggressions, I mean, things that you might not think are strange at the time, you look back and you realize, no, that wasn't okay.
Exactly.
Like that was normalized.
That's therapy.
Right. That's therapy.
Oh, damn, that thing when I was in 86? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What?
That part.
You didn't experience that too? Oh, crazy.
That's so weird. You know,
but I do think I love that I had that journey of experiencing such different cultures at such a young age. I feel like I've really created the ability to adapt to new situations and environments easier.
Yep.
I'm more accepting and patient with different ideologies and mindsets. And I think that's really helpful. But yeah, just the ability to go to a new space and know who I am and be comfortable and be able to just find my place in that environment has been really important to me.
That's awesome.
And I definitely attribute that to moving around and just being exposed to different types of people and different ideas.
I think it's the key.
Yeah.
Exposure, access, life experience as a youngster is key. Speaking of access and exposure, I mean, your mom is like a genius, at least on paper. My goodness. So what, like, geez, like the pressure, or was there pressure? I mean, to be her daughter and for your brother as well and grow up in a house that so stresses academic excellence.
Well, I love that question because no, I didn't feel pressure at all. And that is one of the best things about my mom is it was never about the outcome ever. It was always about the effort. It was always about, you know, doing my homework. And if I tried, and every day after school, we would sit down, we had to do the homework first, and she would check it, and we would go about our day. And I don't remember her ever punishing me for getting anything wrong or ever punishing me for getting a bad grade on a test. And I've had so many bad grades. My brother did too. And my brother definitely struggled academically due to his ADHD. And, you know, that was a whole different challenging journey for him.
Older kids.
I mean, it was tough, but I don't remember her ever yelling at me or making me feel bad about failing academically or in sports.
That's amazing because admittedly, I think I would probably be harder because I would feel like, oh, if you're hard, you demand perfection, and then perfection equates to success and blah, blah, blah. But clearly sitting across from you, I mean, no one can dispute your success. So, and I think it's probably a better way to raise your kids. So
I think so. I wasn't scared to try things and I wasn't scared to fail ever. And it's such a common conversation. I just can't remember a time in my life where I was worried about trying something and not succeeding because if I didn't succeed, it was fine. I would just try again.
Because failure is the biggest hurdle in taking chances, right? The fear of failure. Wow.
And I learned how to fail and I learned how to lose so early in life through academics and sports.
I do say a lot, like, I think as I'm praying to God, my 4-year-old, my 3-year-old, and my daughter as well, obviously, like at least one of them is an athlete. So I can just go sit on the sidelines and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But I do think often about, I wasn't on your level, but playing football and basketball growing up, like the lessons I learned through sports, not only just fellowship and camaraderie, but like pick yourself up.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Tell me what you think, except for bronze, silver, and gold. Second place trophies. Participation trophies. And keep it fucking real.
Participation trophies? Oh, gosh.
Say it.
I don't think there's a place for them in sport. I don't. I really don't. I think it is so important to teach kids to lose.
Yes.
And to be okay with that.
Yes.
And not everyone deserves a trophy. Not everyone earned a trophy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And that's okay.
Right. Exactly. That is okay.
To your mom's point, you showed up.
Yes.
You did your best.
Yeah, exactly.
You got third place.
Yeah, you got third place. Now that being, I mean, on the podium ceremony, you do get gold, silver, bronze. So, you know, we can.
Most of us don't get to compete with the podiums.
But I'm just worried about the entitlement of having to receive something just because you go out there and tried. You know, in the real world, that shouldn't exist, right? I mean, it's sometimes it doesn't exist.
No.
And that's okay.
Do you want to be a mom one day?
Absolutely.
So I look forward to watching you raise your kids with no second place trophies and not cracking the whip, but just supporting them for their journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, I being older, being 52, having young kids, it's generationally such a different mindset when it comes to raising kids. I'm just like, I don't know, it's gentle parenting, it's a good thing, but like, I don't know. Like, I just how my parents did.
Well, I do want to, there was no gentle parenting. I do want to be clear about that. We were not gently parented, but.
Nor was I.
Yeah.
Nor was I. But there's something to it. I'm not disputing it, but it's just a different time.
Yes.
All right, smarty pants. I mean, we could talk about high school. Okay, high school. So I'm assuming you're super smart in high school, and you also discovered multiple sports, correct?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Was it softball, maybe?
Yeah, well, I signed up for softball.
Okay.
But my mom, she cut that.
86 it? Why?
Yeah. She wanted me to run track.
They're both spring sports.
So they were both spring sports. Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. So when I was in high school, I went to Williston Northampton School in Western Mass, and you had to do a sport. And if you didn't do a sport, I believe you had to petition to do something else, like play an instrument, do theater, something.
Right.
But you had to be involved in the community and doing something other than academics. And so I tried everything under the sun. Growing up, I tried theater, I played instruments, and I did 3 sports in high school. I did soccer, which was my first love.
Right.
I did basketball and track.
What position in soccer and basketball?
I was a forward, and in soccer, I was striker. And in basketball, I was also a forward.
Okay. How tall are you, by
I was
the way?
very tall. I'm 5'10".
I was about to say, that's a disadvantage for them. You come on the front lines of soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Getting those headers.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I loved all of the sports, and I didn't really fall in love with track until later in my high school journey. Honestly, when I started being recruited to run in college.
So you played all 3 sports all 4 years?
Yes, I did. Yeah, all 4 years. I did all 3 sports. I think I switched soccer for cross country 1 year just to try it out.
Okay.
But I went back to soccer very quickly.
So, like, when did you know you were like awesome at track?
Late in my career. In high school, I was good for where I was at. Right. So I was good for Western Mass
track community. You were like that.
I was that girl.
Yeah.
I was that girl in Western Mass.
Yeah.
But when I
no black people around.
Yes.
You're like,
I was the only black athlete.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so, I mean, if you're comparing me to all of the other athletes across the country, I mean, I was a nobody, right? I compared me to anyone who was running in the South or even in Boston. I wasn't that good. And I remember actually reaching out to universities and their track programs, and I mean, they just hit me back with their standards. And it's like, reach out to LSU. Sorry, you're not fast enough. Reach out to Florida. You're not fast enough. Georgia, and it's okay because I understood that.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? You're right. I don't have the times. And track is very objective.
For sure. But you did have the SAT scores.
I had the SAT scores.
And you did get into Harvard.
Exactly. And I had that.
So was Harvard purely academic?
So
the
Harvard,
acceptance, or was
no, so they do recruit.
Okay.
They don't give you scholarships, so you can't get an athletic scholarship to going to an Ivy League, but you can get in based on academics and, just a mixture of things. So for me, it was like, okay, I was a decent athlete and I was a decent student. I was not the best student. Like I I'll say it here first. I had a couple C's on my transcript.
So what was the thing? Like how?
I think.
By the way, a couple C's. I'm like,
I
me
did.
too. Me too.
I was a normal student. I was a very I did my work, but by no means was I a genius, right? And I think a lot of people have this idea of me that I am a genius or that, I'm rich and this and that. I'm like, no, I'm very much like everybody else.
Yeah.
But I did things well. I did my best and I was very consistent. And so I was consistently decent at track and I was consistently decent in the classroom. And during my application, I just was myself, right? During the application process and when I did my interviews, I showcased that I was a person that was eager to learn and I had passions in life and I wanted to go to Harvard and make the world a better place. And that's really all they're looking for. And I mean, I really think that's all anyone's looking for.
Gabby. I went to my interview at Harvard. I told them the same shit you just said. And it didn't work out for me like that. And I'm well-rounded too. They said, nah, bruh. Stay college for you.
A little bit of luck too. A little bit of luck. But I was good. And then so I realized that I could be really good at track when I was in college. Gotcha. It was my junior year.
You also started studying neurobiology.
Mm-hmm.
Neurobiology to those listening. Talk to me about neurobiology.
Neurobiology. So I did know that I wanted to study neurobiology in high school. Mm-hmm. I knew that. My brother has autism, so I wanted to do research on autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. Mm-hmm. And that was my dream. And even before I knew I would run track in college, I was looking at programs and figuring out, okay, who has a great neuro program? When the opportunity to go to Harvard presented itself. Done. Right? Done. I knew I could do research with the most amazing academics in the world, and it would set me up. Yeah, I mean, follow my dreams in healthcare. And
I would say the other thing you were focused on there was track and field. And
yes.
Have some stats here.
Oh boy.
For this average track athlete coming out of Western Mass. 22 conference titles across 6 events. The fuck?
Right.
Like, is that like, do you get them all your senior year? Like, did you just get great your senior year? Did you just start, like, just stepped there as a freshman all of a sudden just...
What I'll say is my freshman year running at Harvard was definitely the hardest adjustment year of my life. Okay. I definitely went in with the mindset that it was like an intramural type of athletic experience. And my coach had to sit me down and say, no, this is not IMs. This is a D1 track program. You're going to have to do better. And so say less, right? I committed. I was oftentimes the last one at the track every evening, missing dinner because I was at practice so late. And
is that your mom's influence?
Probably so.
Yeah. I don't mean to shake that because I keep saying mom.
Well, my mom, I was in the household with her. Yeah. Right. So my dad he didn't live with us. So I actually watched my mom.
Oh, they got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when they got divorced?
I don't have any recollection of living with my dad. So
so he wasn't in Massachusetts with you?
No, he didn't move.
Just mom.
He didn't move to Massachusetts with us, and he was in Atlanta. He stayed in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he still in your life? Is he still?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. He's still in my life. My dad's a great guy, but he just wasn't in the house. Yeah. He just didn't raise me.
Gotcha.
And I have a couple of other half siblings, so
I got
just a lot going on. Yeah, just a lot.
My daddy was a Rolling Stone.
So I was with my mom growing up, so I saw her grind.
Yeah.
And so I was no stranger to that. So, I mean, if I'm being told that this is what it takes to get somewhere, then it's what it takes. And definitely a lot of growing pains. But the great thing about the track program at Harvard was the culture there was just so conducive to growing and being better. I didn't understand anything about sleep or nutrition or mindset going into college. And by the end of my freshman year, I felt like I was an expert on that. I mean, my college coach had me writing essays on the importance. My coach. So on top of my neurobiology classes, track was a whole other course. They actually call it that at Harvard. They call it your 5th course. Because
they all are built different at Harvard, I guess.
They really are built different.
Athletes in typical D1 programs barely go to, I guess they go to class. I don't know.
So it depends on the program.
But it does, right?
Right, like, yeah. I know a lot of...
add workload from your coach? That's not like training or something. I'll
send you the papers. I
believe you. But yeah, send me those. Need a little backup.
But I grew so much. I grew so much from that experience.
You're very unique. You really are. So outstanding performer, 2017 and 18. So clearly it took you 2 years to just kind of get it all together, figure it out, and then the last 2 years you clearly were dominating. Ivy League track. And at this point, I'm assuming you know that the Olympics is doable.
No,
No.
absolutely not.
So you graduate Harvard with 22 freaking titles, and you're like, I don't think so.
The crazy thing about my journey is I will accomplish something, and then, like everyone else, you kind of just look to the next step. You look at what everyone else is doing.
But you went pro right after.
I went pro. Yeah. So after I won NCAAs, I went pro. But then you started.
Wait. After you, that was subtle.
NCAA.
Let me go back and look at my notes real quick. Yeah, no, I'm talking about Ivy League. You just said NCAAs. That's everybody.
It's everybody. So after Ivy Leagues, right? I came into Harvard with a personal best of like 24.5 in the 200. Right. Anyone who knows track is listening. People laugh when I say it. They don't believe me because it's just not very fast. And I went in, I remember when I broke 24, ran 23 seconds, and that's when I was dominating the Ivy League. And that was such a big deal for me. But then when you do that, I started looking at the rest of the NCAA. And I'm like, okay, well, what are the other girls running, right? What are they doing? That's natural. That's like human nature.
Of course.
And they're running 22s.
Right. So you got work
and
to
then
do.
some of them are running 21, right? So I have a lot of work to do at that point.
It doesn't seem like that big of a, like 1 second, 1.5 seconds, but it is everything.
That's the difference between being a pro and not, that's the difference between running in college, not running in college.
That's a scholarship or not.
Yeah, that's a scholarship or not.
Yeah.
Exactly. These are big numbers when we're talking about even fractions of a second. And so I dominated the Ivy League, and then NCAAs was my next goal. And I remember going to NCAAs and getting dead last, and it was very embarrassing. As
a senior at Harvard, you're crushing the Ivy Leagues and coming in last place in the
at the NCAA. Exactly.
That's such a mind fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah. Am I good?
Yes.
So here's a why not me moment. Your why not me moment was, why not me? Why can't I win the NCAAs and be the best version of myself?
Exactly.
And then you did the work.
Exactly. Yeah. Essentially, that's what I thought. I thought, why can't I do this? And I believe that I can. And all it took was consistency and discipline. That's really it, because I didn't come in the NCAA as a favorite. Nobody was talking about me in the NCAA.
And you won.
I figured it out. Right. So if I can do it, I genuinely think anybody can do it. If you can come from a small white town in Western Massachusetts with very mediocre times and win NCAAs.
It's pretty extraordinary.
I mean,
it really,
it just,
not to toot your own horn, but
it just takes so much consistency, and you have to want to do it. And so if you don't want to do it in track, you're not going to end up doing it. But if you want to do it in something else, you might do that. But for me, it was track.
You know who doesn't do it?
Who?
The kids who got participation trophies. They don't do it.
They didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
Exactly.
Right. They already thought they won.
Exactly.
So you win the NCAA. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you for the humble drop. I'm glad I picked it up. And you signed with New Balance in 2018?
Yes.
And you left your last year of eligibility on the table.
Yes, that's right. And that was before NIL. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You would have crushed NIL. But I'm sure you're fine now.
It's fine.
Call it a hunch.
Yeah.
So signed with New Balance in 2018, forego your last year of eligibility. And that's when you moved to Austin?
Yes, exactly. So I forgoed my last year of eligibility, but I stayed in school. So I finished my senior year. I practiced with the team, had the same coach and everything.
Right.
Essentially, my life didn't change very much. Yeah, I just signed with New Balance, and I competed maybe a couple of times in the pro circuit.
Yeah, right.
And again, not very well.
Right.
Like that first year of pro, I was not very good.
Were you surprised? I mean, I guess, well, not surprised. You won the NCAAs. You had 22 records. So it wasn't surprised you got signed. Were you surprised like you were getting your ass kicked in the beginning?
No, I was surprised I was signed. I will say that I did not expect to go. I didn't know what going pro in track and field was.
I don't.
Right. I don't think anyone knows what it is. So
Noah has some opinions on it though.
Right. Yeah. Noah sure does. I mean, as he should.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. As he should. So I didn't know what to expect. I mean, Noah grew up in a track family. I didn't know anything about. I knew Usain Bolt existed. I knew Allison Felix existed, and I knew that they ran every 4 years at the Olympics. Right. And so I was presented with the opportunity to sign a shoe deal. And in track and field, signing a shoe deal is the equivalent of going pro. Now,
I don't want to ask how much for, but was it like, did it feel like life-changing money?
For me, it felt like life-changing money. Okay. In retrospect, I mean, compared to other sports and other leagues, it's not. But in track and field, a lot of us are just people who haven't seen money before, if I'm being frank.
Right.
So we don't know what a lot of money looks like. But for me, it really was life-changing money. I mean, signing that New Balance deal, they ended up paying for my education and gave me the opportunity to run professional track.
If nothing else.
Right, if nothing else. Without that shoe deal, I wouldn't have been able to even run track. I wouldn't have had the resources or the opportunity to go to track meets.
Can you imagine?
I mean, it's crazy. The way track and field is set up is wild.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of changes happening right now, but if you don't have a shoe deal in track and field, it will be very, very hard for you to be successful.
So what do you think the fix is?
Leagues. I mean, we need people to invest in track and field, and that's what's going on right now. Alexis Ohanian just had his inaugural event last week, and he's investing in the sport. And you have Michael Johnson with Grand Slam Track League also investing in the sport. People need to be a part of a league. They need to be committed to competing. They need to show up to meet so that spectators have something to actually watch other than the Olympics. And when people are watching, that's how you make money.
I mean, imagine it could work like not NASCAR, but
like F1.
F1.
Yeah.
Where it's a global thing. It's popular in all these different territories.
Exactly. That's the blueprint.
The road show. Yeah.
It's the blueprint.
And like you cater to all people, obviously, but like those money people.
Yep.
They love to spend their money to travel and be close to the athletes. So
and to have that kind of event.
Have that kind of event. And you make it a weekend of festivities and all this kind of stuff. All right, we're off camera. We're going to find some of our billionaire Austin friends and see if we can get some support because it's here in Austin for sure. There was something interesting that you did when you first moved here. I don't know if it was when you first, but the Bailey Bunch, an all-Black women's track group that was led by or founded by Tanya Buford Bailey, who's a former Olympian.
Yes.
Tell me about that and that community, what it did for your progression.
So when I graduated, I did not know where to go and how to train. I didn't know anything about professional track. I know that there were a few coaches here and there, but I also knew I needed to go somewhere where it was warm. So I had to get the heck out of Boston, and I wanted to go to grad school.
Right.
So I was looking at Atlanta, Austin, or LA. I ultimately chose Austin because I met with Coach Buford Bailey, Tanja, and hit it off. I mean, she is truly incredible and one of a kind. And I spoke to her athletes, and everybody felt like they had such a great relationship with her. And finding a female coach
that looks like you,
that looks like me.
Yeah.
But even just a female coach is so hard.
Right.
And to find one that looks like me, I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't imagine, going to practice every day, going to my job every day, looking up to somebody who looks like me. It's just not something that I'm used to.
And surrounded by other athletes that look like
surrounded by other
Probably
athletes
the
that
first
look
time in
like
your
me.
life. You
First
were just,
time in my
all
life.
Black athletes.
First time in my life where I truly felt so safe and comfortable and felt like I could grow and go on this journey with them. And I feel just understood, right? Yeah. And seen. Like it really is.
Do you think without that, you would have had the success you've had?
I don't want to say I wouldn't have, but it would be hard to imagine. Yeah. It'd be hard to imagine feeling so excited and happy to go to practice every single day. I mean, these are people that I spend all of my time with, hours every day. Still.
Are you still a member of that?
I'm still in that group. Yeah, same coach.
Like you came back from the Olympics? Have you been like running with them?
Yeah, every day here in Austin. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, Coach Bailey is like my mom. I'm
not even kidding. I'm trying to get back into shape. I'm trying to figure it out.
We would love to have you.
I'm being dead
we would love to have you. She'll get you in shape.
I'm serious.
No, Tanja doesn't play. She'll get you in shape.
I might come once and just try it one day and see if I can hang.
I think.
And you can make all the fun of me you want.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool. So, other stuff I want to talk about, but I just got to talk about your professional career a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Bronze in 2020 Tokyo. Was that jubilation or a letdown?
I was really excited.
Okay, good.
I loved it. I couldn't believe that I had an Olympic medal. I know a lot of people during that time felt like it was a letdown.
Right.
And I didn't even understand that until much later.
I think I feel like you, like you're there.
I'm there.
And you got a medal.
The fact that I was an Olympian was unbelievable to me. And then I got a medal, and that was unbelievable to me. I know a lot of people expected me to have gold, but
that didn't bring you down at all?
No, because everyone watching, they don't understand. They don't know the grind. They don't know my day-to-day. They don't know where I came from. They don't.
I'm going to know soon.
They don't.
I'm about to go running with you. No.
Like being an Olympian for me was a huge accomplishment.
Like who the fuck can say that? Like, very few people.
Yes.
I won a medal at the Olympics.
The medal. It was, I mean.
Did you bring your medals?
Oh, no, I should have. I should have brought them. But the thing is, I don't even parade my medal because it's not even about the medals. They like sit in my closet. I don't even look at them. It's really about what I know that I accomplished. And
I'm the exact opposite. I have like, a few awards in my house. It's like you walk through my door. It's like, hi.
You said I'm the opposite. Yeah.
Hi. I got to work on that. That's a me thing.
As you should.
That's a me problem. And then 2022 World Championships, silver.
Yes.
Again, you got the gold in the 4x100, which is great. So that was your first gold medal?
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It was.
Was that the same women that you ran?
Yeah. We had just one substitution the first leg, Tamari Davis for Melissa Jefferson, but it was the same relay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all. And then, we're getting to this a couple months ago. Did you trip in the 4x100 when you first started?
The 4x400.
4x400?
Yes. Yeah.
Right when you stumbled, right?
Unfortunately did. So for that relay, we didn't get to practice at all.
I heard that.
So that was my first time ever doing an exchange with Sydney.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that she was going to be coming in that fast. There is nobody in the world who can finish a 400 that fast. Dude, I had never seen that before in my life.
I was like, no, we got this.
I had never seen that
Gabby's
before.
Up next. This is that. We got this.
Mike, she came in so hot. I was
the distance.
Almost ran me over. So I
was like, if you're going to trip, this is the time to do it. You got a little leeway.
Yeah, we had a little leeway. So thankfully, we handled it. It was fine. Caught myself.
I got to tell you, and this is one of the other reasons why I think you guys should have leagues and step up the professional level of the sport. But the excitement that I think the world felt rallying around, not just our team, but like the competition in general.
Yeah. But
watching you guys do your thing was and the world needed it.
I think so.
Literally, like everyone's at odds with each other in their own countries and countries versus countries. And
I know.
I was saying, I think this year's Olympics was talked about more than previous years that I can remember. Yeah. And I really think it's because of the crisis of the world. And
I'm so glad.
Needed something.
It felt like it really did feel like the world paused for a minute.
It really did. And it was beautiful. But back at it.
Yeah, back at it. Yeah. Here we are. It's over.
Here come the elections. We'll see what happens. God bless Texas. It's the first time I'm voting in a state where, like, not to be political, but not obviously, but I'm.
But your vote will really.
Won't matter.
Well,
probably. I hope it matters if we swing it.
Yeah.
I'm voting to swing.
Yeah. I think Austin is just so heavily populated and so blue.
But Texas ain't.
I know Texas isn't.
I'm talking about the state.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I think there may be enough blue voters here. I do.
Hot.
I think there might be enough.
Listen, I will come to that track that next day, and I'll sprint and beat everybody on pure adrenaline. Pure adrenaline. So, second fastest time, 200 time in U.S. history, 21.61 seconds. You did that in the Olympic trials?
Yes.
So no more 24.
No more 24. I've come a long way.
What is that feeling of just, even like, forget the gold, forget all that for a second, just reaching the goal of getting that number, that 21, like all the work, all the grind, like.
I mean, that was unbelievable. That was a surreal moment for me when I first ran 21.
Yeah.
I truly couldn't believe that I had done that and that was my body. But it really was just a testament to how consistent I had been. I mean, that's really all it was about. It's like I never really focus on the times. Even for the Olympic final, people are talking about, it wasn't really that fast. I've run faster. I won the gold in 21.8 mm-hmm. and, my PB is 21.6. Mm-hmm. And so in track world, that's a big difference.
It is a big difference, yeah.
But it's never really about the times. It's about doing what it takes to win and push yourself to that next level. And so when I ran that, it's always about making the team. Right. That's the goal. We go to Olympic trials and we try to make the team. And the time
is the time.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, the time is the time. I mean, if you run really fast and you don't make the team and you didn't beat the person next to you, the time doesn't matter.
Right.
So I always say I run fast enough to win. And that's what it's about.
Speaking of like just persevering and like being the best version of yourself, when you discovered in 2021 that you were ill,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm assuming, that was scary.
Yeah.
Did that Was that maybe a time that you felt for the first time daunted and like, fuck, man, I don't know about this one?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the discovery of the illness and then the fight to get to the other side.
So I was going through at that time a routine, not even a routine. I think I had back pain or hamstring pain. Something was bothering me when I was running.
Right.
So I got an MRI, which is just very standard. And in the MRI, I got the results back and they told me that I had a tumor in my liver that didn't look good. It did not look benign. And so
you're a world-class athlete.
I'm a world-class, very, very healthy. I take care of myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm also like, I studied healthcare in school. So I'm just like, everyone around me at this time was kind of freaking out a little bit.
Right.
I think because of my studies and how aware I am of the fact that a lot of people actually do have tumors. They just don't get MRIs as frequently as athletes do.
Right.
And I was like, okay, there's a good chance I could be okay, but everyone was making this seem like my healthcare providers and doctors were saying it wasn't. And so I remember just being so terrified and thinking, okay, if I come out of this just well, healthy, and I mean, God bless alive, that I'm going to make this Olympic team. Like nothing's going to stop me from living my life to the fullest.
Right.
And getting
Why
through
not
this.
you?
Why exactly? Why not me?
Yeah.
If I can get through something like this, and mentally I just thought, I am so grateful for my health. I'm so grateful for everything. I mean, being in that situation put everything into perspective.
Yeah, I bet.
As I'm sure many people can relate to. And so when I was healthy and knew that I was good to go to run at Olympic trials, I mean, we got this sorted maybe
I was about to say, how long,
a couple of weeks before trials. So
how long were you from diagnosis to like, I'm clear?
Like, I would say like 2 months, which was just too long.
Yeah, man.
And I remember thinking, okay, for someone like me who has, I mean, just so many resources at this point, just, you know, from Harvard Health and USATF doctors, for this process to be taking this long, I'm grateful. I cannot imagine what people who are in marginalized communities and don't have the access that I have to go through navigating the healthcare system. It was such a mess, just navigating everything and getting specialized care and just reaching people and getting in contact with doctors and healthcare providers and getting imaging. And it was such a mess. But ultimately got it squared away right before trials. Thank goodness. And I mean, at the same time, my coach was dealing with her own colon cancer scare. So it was such, it was just such chaos. But at the end of the day, you make it happen.
Do you think about that when you're standing on the podium with your gold around your neck and you're hearing the anthem? And I'm sure a million family, friends, like a lot of things are, I'm assuming, racing through your brain. But is there a moment that you remember standing up there and thinking back to that moment and being like, God,
absolutely.
God, thank you for this.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of moments that I look back on and think, I don't know how I made it through that, but here I am and I made it through it. And I made it through it with a gold medal.
Well, that's very inspirational.
So you can just make it through. You can make it through so much. I think everyone, you really can surprise yourself.
Yeah. It's that fortitude that we don't even know we have half the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, smarty pants. So I believe you do more than track still.
Yes.
Talking about this like nerdy, smart stuff shit you do.
So I finished when I moved to Austin, part of it, like I mentioned before, was going to grad school.
Right.
I went to UT, got my master's in public health with a focus in epidemiology.
So COVID was your jam.
COVID, that was very timely and validating. So I had applied for my master's that fall and then got in January. And, you know, COVID was rampant around March, April of that year. So yeah, it was very timely. And what I was doing really made sense. I mean, we were living out public health crises in real time. Yeah. So it was insane. And I ended up graduating from that last year in 2023. And now I volunteer at a healthcare clinic here in downtown Austin. And it provides healthcare services for people who don't have healthcare otherwise. They don't have access. Either they don't have health insurance or they just they have trouble getting to appointments, affording medication, stuff like that.
Right. Do you see, I'm obviously you're volunteering essentially. Do you see, I mean, because the world's yours right now. And I mean, do you see that as a part of your future, or do you think you're going to stay on this other path of
absolutely. Absolutely. I see myself running for the foreseeable future, that's for sure. And ever since this last Paris Olympics, I mean, running has definitely taken up a larger part of my life than it had previously. And I love it. But definitely still volunteering at the clinic And when my schedule and time allows, and maybe when I retire, I would love to move back.
That's
to
what I was saying.
healthcare
Once you
space.
retire from track, you think this is where you would want to
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will move back to the healthcare space in a heartbeat. Maybe not in the same capacity that I had initially intended. So maybe not doing research. Initially, I wanted to run a hospital and just be the CEO of a hospital. And
I have a friend who does that.
Really?
Couple. I have a friend you should meet.
Okay. I would love to, I would love to have that conversation, because that really was my dream at the end of the day, was to do that and run a hospital the way that I felt like one should be run, especially in a marginalized community.
Probably
But
I think
maybe so. But I think there's room for synergies, right? I think that there's room for me to retire and keep, my hands in the healthcare space and actually making a difference, maybe just in a different capacity than I had initially thought. Yeah. But maybe not.
I think this platform you're creating is only going to serve that agenda of public health and all the other things that you want to kind of affect. So
I hope it gets people thinking about it. And I mean, the amount of people who donated to the clinic just because I mentioned it in a couple of interviews has been so heartwarming.
Got that GoFundMe page.
Right? I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so nice. But yeah.
All right. Let's have some fun questions.
All right.
First, I know you don't work in Hollywood. But you live on Earth. So what was your biggest Hollywood crush growing up or currently?
Oh, biggest Hollywood crush? Zac Efron.
Zac Efron.
Or Joe Jonas.
Joe Jonas. Is Joe Jonas the handsome? Is he, or is that Nick the one that they think is the dreamy one?
Well, I think it's kind of switched. It was Nick growing up, but I think it's Joe now.
Wow.
And I still have a crush on Joe.
Have you met him?
No.
We got to make that happen.
He took me a video. He took a video for me before the Olympics and said good luck.
Really? Mm-hmm. Were you trying to hide your fandom?
No. No.
Oh my God.
I can't hide it.
A Jonas brother. I love it.
Yes.
What is the best pickup line that's ever been used on you that worked?
That worked?
Yeah.
That worked?
Are you single?
Oh gosh, no. I have a boyfriend.
Okay, well,
I have a boyfriend here in Austin.
He doesn't count.
Not counting him?
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh man, if you can just make me laugh, I think.
So it's not the words.
It's not the words. It's
feeling.
It's the riz.
The riz.
Yeah.
Is that a cool kid word? Because I'm so old. I don't know what you mean. The riz?
It's the riz of it all. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got to say less when you said that before. I'm aging myself.
Riz, like charisma. It's the vibe. Charisma. It's like the vibe you're giving off. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. I'm going to use that for the next month to try to be cool. What's the worst rumor ever spread about you?
Ooh, the worst rumor? That's a tough one. I probably a fighting one. I think the worst rumor is me fighting at relay camp. People they have this fake beef between Sha'Carri and I on the internet, and they just love it.
But you guys are cool?
Yeah, we're just, two very normal. We don't train together, so we don't know each other very well. But when we see each other, we're cool.
Love,
and we do relays together. Yeah. But I think people just have this idea that every time we link, we fight, like physical fighting. And I just...
Putting the two black women against each other.
I hate it. I can't stand it. It doesn't do anything for Black people. It just...
So I'm in a conversation with someone who's up for a renegotiation, and there's precedents of people who do less than this person that are white. They are getting so much more in their deal.
Yeah, not sure.
And they're just trying to hold my guy back. Albums, music. I know music is a thing for you. So are you a playlist girl? And if so, what's on your current playlist? Or are you an album girl? And if so, what albums are you listening to mostly? I
am a playlist girl, just because sitting through an album is hard for me. But if I had to say, one of the, my favorite albums of all time is Control by SZA. And that album just really spoke to me. I mean, SZA is one of my favorite artists of all time. And I feel like she really defined what it is to be a Black artist, especially a Black female artist.
Yeah.
Just a different style of music. She showed that you can be just a Black weird girl. You can have a different personality as a Black, yes, an alternative than just what people are used to or people want to see from us, right? I don't know, the album, I still play it. It's from, I think, 2018.
Still timeless.
And it's timeless.
Music
I
has
still play
that
it every
effect.
day. Yeah.
When the time comes where we all have to leave this beautiful life that we have, what would you like your tombstone to say?
Ooh, my tombstone?
Yeah.
by the time I leave the earth, I would hope that it would say, loving daughter, sister, friend, wife, and hopefully mother at that time, and dog mom, because
Oh, your doggy?
My dog is my baby.
I
have one for now.
I had 2, and now I have 0.
Oh,
I know. It's devastating. What superpower would you choose for yourself?
Ooh, if I could pick any superpower, I would probably pick reading minds.
Wow, it's dangerous, girl.
It is dangerous, but I'm all about authenticity and just being real.
If you're reading someone's mind and they're bullshitting you,
you
call them on it right away?
Oh. I'm a very confrontational, very respectfully confrontational, but yes.
I think we might be similar in that way. One word, what's that word that best describes you?
Ooh, determined.
Makes sense. If you had one day left on the planet Earth, what would you spend your time doing? And it can't be hanging out with my boyfriend and my family.
Oh, it wasn't going to be. It was going to be. I love you guys. Probably spend it eating anything I want. Probably pizza, junk food, hanging out with my dog, and just very casual things like walking the trail in Austin, enjoying the nature, but being able to eat whatever I want while I do it.
So you love food.
Yes.
Would you rather give up food or would you rather give up sex?
I'd rather give up sex. Yeah.
Your boyfriend's going to punch me when she uses this interview.
Yeah, that's a fun question for a guy.
Yeah. Maybe
I'm
better guy
curious.
question.
Yeah.
But girls today, though, I don't know.
True. I remember I actually studied this in one of my neuro classes at Harvard. They did it in rodents. And the rodents always, male rodents, because the girls always chose food every time.
Right.
But the males, it was a little bit, less obvious, but it came down to sex.
Yeah,
they chose sex.
We'll starve.
Yeah.
We'll starve. One last question, and then I'll let you get out of here. I often ask people who's someone that was an inspiration to them or had a lot of influence in their career or their journey. And maybe it's not this person, but I'm going to kind of answer the question for you. And you could say no. But I believe Allison Felix is that person for you?
Absolutely.
Talk to me just about that, her inspiration for you.
I mean, Allison is my introduction to track and field. I remember watching her one day when I had to been maybe 9 years old. I didn't know exactly what I was watching. I think it was Olympic trials, but I saw myself in her. I mean, this was someone that my mom had pointed out to me. She looked like me. I mean, she is just this Black woman, super long legs. So it reminded me of myself to a T. And I watched her dominate, and I watched her do it with such poise in class. And as she even got older in her career, just having a voice and speaking out about issues. And I think that just showed me kind of the blueprint of how it can be done.
Yeah.
Right? And she's not the flashiest of athletes either. And she's not oh, all I do is win. It's no, she works hard, she grinds. Sometimes it's not gold, sometimes it's other medals, sometimes it's no medal, but she's always there and she's consistent and she's disciplined and she does it with such grace. And I really admired that. Yeah. And that's what I want for my career. And I want to have that legacy of showing the younger generation that if you are consistent and work hard, you will have a great career. You don't have to win every single race. But what's important is how you win and how you set up your career. What are you giving back to society? And she's giving us that. She just shows us how it should be done, how it can be done, the blueprint. And she has a voice. She gives back to society.
She's phenomenal.
Just incredible.
She's amazing. All right, this is the last question. Some of my guests are clearly in the beautiful people category. Are your looks a problem?
Are my looks a problem? Wait, what do you mean that?
Quickly. You show up in the track field, they're not now, but oh, she's way too pretty to grind that hard.
Oh.
Or you're trying to do something so academic. They're well, she's just way too pretty to really know what she's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think that being a woman in any space, you run into that a lot, but especially in the track and field space, being taken seriously. being just criticized for every tiny little thing about how you look.
Yeah.
I mean, looks are absolutely a problem. They matter in terms of what kind of sponsors you're getting, how many people pay attention to how you run. I mean, even just being a Black woman in track and field is a battle. I mean, you have to be, quite literally 3 times as good as any white person
In
you run
life.
against. Right. Yeah. I mean, in life, that's life, right? Yeah, exactly. So those energies are definitely matched in track and field in our sport. But I mean, it's something that we think about a lot.
I mean, look, if you say Gabby Thomas, I promise you that she's so pretty.
Oh,
and that's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome. But like, we know you're so much more than that.
Yep.
And sometimes I just feel like some things get lost in translation when like they see the exterior. So
well, it does. And you're just not like humanized as much.
Exactly.
You know, it's just a dehumanization of, all right, well, she has all of this, you know, she can't possibly be struggling. She can't possibly be going through. She can't possibly be a hard worker. Like,
such a false narrative.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Beautiful, Smart, and extraordinarily gifted athlete, Gabby Thomas, thank you for joining the Why Not Me podcast. I really appreciate it. And you make Austin proud and you make America proud.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing it. Cheers.